Hey everyone, and welcome to the video. And today what we're doing is we're taking a look at the LG Magic Remote, and this is one of my most highly clicked videos, the one where I actually recommend buying this skin for the actual remote. But one of the most common questions on that particular video was people assumed that it was basically like a tips and tricks video, and obviously that's been one of the highest requested videos on my channel. So I thought in this video what we'll do is we'll take a look at the remote and we'll go through some of the basic things and some of the basic tips and tricks that you can use. So tip number one, and what we'll do is we'll start towards the top of the remote, and obviously the power button is pretty self-explanatory. Next to that you have a little microphone. This is the microphone whenever you're using any type of voice assistant on this particular remote. But next to that we have a little kind of set-top box. So if I just hit that, what you will notice is on screen you get this prompt. You can use your Magic Remote to control your set-top box. Do you wish to continue? Now you can either hit no or yes. Obviously if you hit that by mistake, just hit no. If I just hit that again and we hit yes, it will bring us into this menu here. Now essentially what this does is it allows you the ability to control any of the devices that are connected to your TV. So initially that's obviously anything directly connected, but it also extends to anything that's actually connected via something like a soundbar. So as you can see just along the bottom down here, this is my soundbar, and I will be doing an updated video in terms of my setup, but that's the LG SN11 RG soundbar. It is a eARC soundbar, so it supports eARC, and basically I have my Apple TV connected to it. If I just exit out of that, you will notice that it comes back to the Apple TV on HDMI 2. And what I'll do is just with the Apple TV remote, in order to activate the screensaver, essentially you just hit menu on this main page. Now the buttons are slightly different, but essentially on the LG remote, because I've got it synced up, as you can see I can now control it. And just to prove that I'm not using that one, you can see I can control all my functions, left, right, up, down. I can click into applications and I can activate the screensaver just like that. So essentially, even though the Apple TV is actually hooked up to my soundbar, this does actually allow me to still control it. So if we just go back into that menu once more, and what will actually happen is it gives you a choice of like generic kind of things that you've got connected. And then if you go to this one, show all devices, it'll actually show you other items, and it'll show you what's already connected. So as you can see just there, I already have the games console connected. So you can see just there. And what this shows you is basically it tells you which ones are already synced. Unless it detects another games console, it won't give you that option again. And it also obviously determines in terms of what your TV is automatically thinking each device is. Now this can trip out sometimes. Previously I did have it where it wouldn't always work with my PlayStation, but for the most part it works perfectly fine. So I can control both the Apple TV as well as the PlayStation 4 Pro. One of the other functionalities as a result of doing that is if you actually hit the home icon, it brings up your home bar. So this is basically your navigation for WebOS, and pretty much everybody will be aware of how to use this. So if you want to move something, for example, you hold on it and then you can move it left and right, and then just hit it again to basically exit out of that. So you've got the option of obviously all your apps and everything along the bottom of here. And the good thing about this is you don't have to exit out of whatever you're doing in order to access that. So essentially you don't have to go to a main menu, exit out of what you're already playing, and then select an app only for it to maybe not be the right one or something. Just something I want to show you. So if we come all the way across to the left hand side, you see there's a search option. So you have search, you have home dashboard, and then you have TV. Now TV I don't use, so for anybody out there with asking for tips and tricks for live TV, I don't use terrestrial TV at all, so that's not something that I'll be able to help you with. But some of these tips and tricks you will be able to adapt to work with that. So what I'll do is if I just click on home dashboard, what this does is it shows you everything that's connected to my TV essentially. So I have the Apple TV connected via my soundbar. I have the 4K Fire TV stick connected into HDMI 3 on the TV. And I also have a NAS drive set up, and if we come further down, even though it's not showing you right now, I do also have the PlayStation 4 Pro set up as well. Now what I can also do is if I come into, I believe it's HDMI 4, so if I click on that, oh no, sorry, it's HDMI 1. So if I click on that and then come down, so at the moment it's on the X. If I click down onto it, what will actually happen is just at the bottom, you probably heard it, but this will now power up my PlayStation 4. So this I've done purely from the LG remote. I've not had to touch a controller, not had to use an app, anything like that. What I will do is I'll just kill the volume, make sure that's completely off. Now, once this actually boots up, for the most part, this does actually allow me to control the PlayStation as well. Obviously, you don't want to be playing games or anything like that on it, but if, obviously, as with most people, they find that the PlayStation boots up automatically, what you can actually do is you can still control it straight from here. So on the main menu, I'm still controlling it. If you click into it, on this screen, as you can see, because I've added it as the games console via this button here, so via the set-top box controller, it actually allows me to control the PlayStation straight from here. So say, for example, as with mine, this turns on automatically whenever you turn your TV on. Rather than having to go and dig out the PlayStation controller, you can just come across, go to power options and turn off. So now we can turn the TV on and off straight from the remote. Now, one of the other common things that people don't know about is quick access. So this essentially, if you just hold on 0, what will happen is it'll bring up this little box, and this is basically your shortcuts. So you have 1 to 9 on your control pad, and what you can do is you can assign certain things. So for example, you can assign HDMI 1, or sorry, that was HDMI 3, I believe, that I had the Fire TV stick connected to. You can use apps, so you can use actual HDMI inputs. You can use smart apps, so that's obviously the YouTube app, MKIPTV app, the Netflix app, the Prime app. Say for example, I want this one to be my Apple TV, so I can then just do that, and now number 6 is Apple TV. What you can also do is when you're on that particular device, you can also just hold whichever relevant number you want to assign it to, and it will also do that. So if I just click into that and you want to go into live TV, if you did have channels here, then obviously it would give you your programming, and then you could choose whichever channel you wanted as your shortcut. Because I don't use live TV channels and I don't have any aerial length plugged in, obviously it's not giving me anything. But if you wanted to do that, that would be the way that you would actually do it. So that's simply by holding 0 until this quick menu pops up, and then you just click on whichever number you want to assign it to. Let's go down and let's see what else it gives us. So these are all smart apps that it's allowing us to access. Some of them are already added, so obviously as you can see, the Prime and the Netflix ones are already grayed out because they're already added. And that's pretty much it. So you have all your HDMI inputs, you can choose from all of those. You can also choose your home dashboard as well. So say for example, if I wanted 8 to be my home dashboard, if I just exit out of that, what happens when I now hold 8 is it comes straight to my home dashboard. And I believe, was it number 4 that I set as, no, 4 was Netflix, so I believe it was 6 as Apple TV. There we go. So if I just quickly want to switch to the Apple TV, I just hold number 6. Now because this is going through the soundbar, it does take a few seconds, and then it will eventually, because the soundbar actually has 2 inputs. So when I switch to the soundbar, it can choose between HDMI 1 and HDMI 2 on the soundbar itself. So that's another quick little tip for anybody that wasn't aware of that. Now another quick little tip is, rather than turning the TV on using your power button, you can actually just hold whichever shortcut you want, and that will actually power up the TV as well. So say for example I wanted to go straight to the Apple TV, I could just now hold number 6 and it would actually boot up and go straight into the Apple TV for me as well. So rather than having to go long-winded by turning the TV on and then selecting your input, you can just do that all in one go. Coming down to the pointer, so in order to, obviously the whole thing about the Magic Remote is this pointer that you get on screen. In order to activate that, there's 2 methods that you can use. So the first one is literally just by shaking it, and that will wake it up. The other method is a little bit of a hack, but it does work. So this little sort of cable icon, if you like, if you press that, it actually brings up this dashboard along the bottom, and that also brings up the icon as well. And then you can just click anywhere and the icon actually stays there. Now, if you want to get rid of the icon or the pointer, you just press any of your sort of directional buttons. So you just press left, right, up, down, and it'll actually disappear. So I'll just show you that again. So there we have the pointer, and then I just press down and it's disappeared. So that's for all of those that are asking about how to get rid of the pointer quickly rather than having to wait for it to time out. Now, I don't use TV Guide, so obviously that's pretty much useless on my particular remote. Now, depending on which TV you guys have, some of these bottom buttons may be slightly different. Obviously, I have a movies button. This one doesn't actually go through to Netflix or anything like that. This is actually the built-in app. So this one actually, at the moment, is wanting me to take me to Rakuten TV. So previously I believe I did have that map slightly differently, so I'm not sure whether that's been changed as a result of a firmware update. So all of these buttons at the bottom will be slightly different depending on which particular TV you have. Some of the newer ones, these would have been remapped. If I hit Netflix, obviously that goes straight to Netflix. If I hit Prime, it goes straight through to Prime. Now, one thing that a lot of people probably don't know is if you hold the Prime button, it actually activates Alexa. So if you notice down at the bottom there, whilst you're holding the Prime button, that's actually bringing up Alexa. So that's a nice little shortcut for those that do actually use Alexa with their particular set. I can't remember whether I have actually got it set up on this particular set or not. I do use Alexa around the house, but on this particular set, I've basically just used HomeKit. Talking about HomeKit, bringing us onto that side of things. So if we go into settings, and there's two ways of basically entering your settings. So if you just tap the settings icon once, you get this sort of mini settings panel, and this is a sort of quick access for anything that you know that you want to do. So for example, if you just want to change your picture mode from cinema user to sports or something like that very quickly, then you can do that. Similar thing with aspect ratio, your sound type. So obviously I'm using eARC, so obviously it gives me that option, and then you've got timers for sleep as well as connectivity. And then normally you'd have to go down to all settings in order to enter the full settings. Now if you want to do that without having to do the extra step, you just hold the settings icon for a few seconds and it will bring you straight into the expanded settings pane. Now once we're actually in here, it does actually give you a few more options in terms of setting up. We come to connections, and we come down to link devices. This is where you can basically set up your Google Assistant or Amazon Alexa. As I say, I personally don't use those, so that's not really a massive issue for me. Now, just on this actual menu window, this is actually a good example of, so sometimes you'll come into the settings and there'll be parts of the screen that are hidden. So you can see that there's more on this window, but you can't actually access it using your up and down arrows. And similarly, even if you pull up the pointer, there's no way that you can actually just scroll down. If you get a window like this and you're not sure what else there is down at the bottom, what you want to do is use your scroll. And if I just hover over there and scroll, as you can see, it then allows you to actually see the rest of that writing. So there may be other options in some of the windows that you do actually get more options further down. If you want to just quickly scroll in any of the menus, use your scroll wheel, and that's a much quicker and more efficient way of actually doing it. Okay, so in terms of the remote itself, you also have a few options in terms of the pointers. So if you come into the settings and you go down to accessibility, what you can do is come down to pointer options, and on some older TVs you actually get different types of icons. So I believe on some of the older ones they used to have a few gimmicks where you could change it to a bird or some other pointer design. On these ones you literally just get the pointer size. I just leave it on medium, that tends to work quite well, and you can also change the speed as well. So that is now moving, so if I show you the difference in terms of speed, that's fast, and then if we turn it to slow, as you can see, that tracks a lot easier. This is trial and error in terms of what works best for you. I believe I actually changed it to slow just to make it a bit easier in terms of not having to move your arm quite as far. And especially for certain import apps, it works a little bit better. Okay, so another thing that you can actually do is whenever you're on any type of import, what you can actually do is just press these three dots, and it'll bring up an extra menu along this right hand side. And along this, basically, you can then access additional information. On some of them, the info button on the top will work. On other ones, you have to use this bottom one, and that will then pull up this extra pane, and it basically gives you information in the bottom left just there, such as 16:9, 2160p, PCM for audio. It'll give you your date and time, and then it gives you the option, if you press the blue button, to basically move the information screen essentially around. I tend to prefer it in this bottom left because generally whenever I'm watching any type of content, sports, that kind of thing, you normally always have some sort of content in the top left. With games you tend to have it in the top right and bottom right, so but the bottom left hardly ever gets used. That's why that's the one that I've actually defaulted it to. So that's an extra little menu, if you like, that you can get to just by pressing that. And this will do different things in different inputs, so depending on what you're actually connected to. If you're on the PlayStation, sometimes it'll give you different information, and then it's just a sort of quick guide in terms of linking through to additional information, as well as giving you some additional options up here as well. So obviously initially at the top it's telling you what the device is, so that's just another quick little tip for that as well. Okay, so another quick little tip, if you ever want to access the accessibility menu really quickly, what you can do is just press and hold on the mute icon, and that will take you straight into the accessibility tab. Here you can obviously do things such as turn on audio guidance. You can adjust any of these settings for high contrast, hard of hearing adjustments, and as well as audio descriptions and things like that very easily as well. In terms of using Google search, in order to do that, all you do is you hold the microphone button and then you speak into the microphone just there. If I do a test, show me the weather for today. So as you can see, it'll pull up the weather forecast, and once you're done, just hit the back icon and that will disappear. Show me what new movies are coming out in 2021. And as you can see, it'll pull that information up for you. This is using the built-in Google Assistant on the TV. You can also set this up with Amazon Alexa just by using the Prime button as well. So that was the tips and tricks video for the LG Magic Remote. Hopefully for those of you out there that were somewhat upset about the previous video that I actually made on this particular remote, will have actually found some information and some of these tips and tricks useful. So if you have, obviously give this video a thumbs up down below. If you haven't already done so, please do subscribe to the channel and also hit the bell icon. That way you won't miss out on any new videos that I make. If you have any further questions or comments, obviously post them down below as well. And other than that, thanks very much for watching.